Want to have a chat with Mikis in the dungeon? Apply at contact@keramitica.com.
Welcome, Miriam, to the 7th edition of Dungeon Chats. I will be the dancing bear to perform for you. You can ask any question and I will answer it instantly and in a way, hopefully, that a 5-year-old can understand it. So, welcome and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Mikis. Super happy to be here. I'm Miriam. I'm Swiss and French, currently living in the mountains, which is a new thing, and I'm loving the sun that we get here. I did my first, my choice OS in 2018. And then I did 2 advanced since then, the last one having been the Divine Dimensions one, which was awesome. So yeah,
It was a cool
super happy
one,
to be
wasn't
here.
it? That was cool.
Oh, it was amazing. And I've been loving all the questions, about the universe and how it functions of like some previous participants. And I've been, oh my God, these are questions that I wanted answered. So really happy. And yeah, more to
Very good. We just finished a couple of weeks ago. We just finished When the Sun and the Moon Fell in Love. And that was like a really awesome one about relationship, raising children, sexuality, masculine, feminine, and lots more things. So it was really, really cool. Really, really cool.
Oh, so yeah, I can imagine.
Here I am to answer your questions far away on any subject you like.
All right. Well, I would have loved to be part of that last workshop on relationships. I do have a few questions, but for later on. I think I wanted to start with kind of 2 questions in one. Let's see. It's regarding destiny and purpose in general. I'm always kind of tangling with, why are we designed the way that we're designed individually? In the sense, why are we born with certain characteristics and then grow to have different interests and things? If it doesn't serve in a way a greater purpose, why are we designed the way that we are?
Okay, indeed, it's like a 2-faceted question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first of all, whatever it is, and we'll discuss that afterwards, it definitely serves a very obvious higher purpose: life and evolution. We're here as a game of evolution. And we can go very deeply into that, but this is the obvious answer. Why do you need something like more important than that? Life is a beautiful, continuous experiment where we evolve, and together with us, the whole world evolves, and together with the whole world, our descendants, our children, evolve, and the whole of nature evolves. Yeah, with us at this moment in time, at the top of the pyramid of evolution of this planet. But we evolve as humanity, we evolve as the cosmos, we evolve and we create. We are creation and we create. And we keep evolving. And then when this universe ends, we start a new cycle of evolution. So this is, I think, a pretty good higher purpose. So each one of us is an individual, yet we evolve during our lives and we change and we evolve, like as you and I have evolved since we were children. And since last year and since last week, we evolve, but we also evolve as a one. Your oneness, everything. Everything is actually the divine because, in any kind of religion, everything is the divine, everything, everything there is. So we evolve both individually and collectively all the time, the same way as our cells evolve individually, they grow old and they die, and then more cells come on. Yet you as a mechanism, you as Miriam, you have had an almost infinite amount, like gazillions of cells that have died. Yeah, because they die on average every 3 weeks, that have died and they have been replaced, yet you keep evolving as a unit. So if you imagine the cosmos as you, and you see all these cells inside you, from your liver, from your lungs, from your heart, from your skin, from your hair, all these cells, they live individual lives, and that includes bacteria and other things that you have inside you. Yes, you have like a trillion bacteria, give or take, different ones. And you have the cells from each organ and from each different place, bone cells, all these kind of cells. They live lives, they evolve, they change, life is change, and then eventually they die, but you as an organism, you live. And having been a part of you, they're still part of you. They're part of who you are today, those cells that no longer exist inside you.
Mm.
So that's, I believe, a good enough purpose. If you have another question about this, I can move to the first part afterwards, whenever you want.
Yes. In the sense that, do we have then, if we're designed a specific way, do we have a specific kind of purpose that we choose how we we don't really know about it, but I guess, following our intuition
Okay,
and our desires, interests, do we have a specific one that we
that goes back to your first question. That's the first part of the question, basically. So, okay, this question has been answered by practically everybody a million times. We are part, our genes and who we are and our heredity and the way we were born. Some are born tall, some are born short, some are born big noses, blonde, brown hair, whatever. Yeah. Some are born pretty Swiss girls like you, and others big, fat, bald Greeks like me. But then there is what they call nature, that's our nature, and then there's nurture, all the experiences, the culture, the learnings that you get. Yeah. And consequently, the choices that you make. So if you had chosen to be a blue-haired lesbian activist with nose rings and like a mohawk and kill the patriarchy here, then you would be that person. And your nature would not have much to do with this. This would be a result of your experiences and your choices. And if you had chosen to be a studious professor of anthropology in Sorbonne, and you were wearing glasses and you had your hair in the back and never got laid, then again, you would be a result of your choices and not of your nature. In part of your nature, always there's proclivities. Yeah. But to start with, I'm afraid I said it in another podcast, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to repeat it like a story where, like in Mumbai, in the slums, there is like a mother and like 5 children in the gutter, and they're dirty and full of flies, and they're eating out of garbage and scraps. And the the police pass by and they look at them and they say, "What can we do? There's so many of them. This is their karma. This is their destiny. That's what they're supposed to do. That's how they were born in the slums." And then the social workers pass by and say, what can we do? This is their karma. Okay, we can help these, but there's so many of them. I mean, what can we do? Nothing. This is their karma. And then the passerbys pass by and they look at them, and some of them with pity as well. Maybe they give them like a little coin or something. But they say, what can we do? You know, if we give every homeless person or like gutter person in Mumbai a penny, we will have to be in debt for 1,000,000 years. So what can we do? It's their karma. And then the mother is sitting there with the flies and her starving kids and all of that. And, you know, she has been beaten, blah, blah, blah. And she says, okay, what can I do? This is my karma. And the oldest child says, what can we do? This is our karma. This is how we were born. This is the parents we had. This is the environment we're living. And so on and so forth. And then the fifth kid, which is like a little rat like this, he says, fuck no, this is not my karma. And these kind of people, like often in history, become billionaires, presidents. They receive like Nobel Prizes of literature or of industry or shit like that. Because karma is a predisposition, but it's not an absolute. There was once many years ago, I remember when I was in my 30s maybe, Greece, which is a very small country in Europe, it's tiny, it's 10 million people, and a poor country, now more than ever after the crisis, suddenly came from the United States a Greek American called Nick Gallis, who had played a game or two in the NBA, you know, the basketball. But he was short. He was 185 in meters. Yeah. So he was like 6'2" or something. Yeah. 6'3", which is relatively tall by people.
Yeah.
But not really tall for basketball, where they are like 2 meters 10, 2 meters 15, and 2 meters, whatever. So he came to Greece full of passion, back to the country of his parents. And he entered Greek basketball. And within a couple of years, a few years, Greece, for the first time in its history, won the European Cup of basketball. They did. And against Russia. And Russia, and the guy who was a monster, I don't remember his name, all of them were super tall because it's a country of many hundreds of millions, yes, 150 million compared to 10. So they have big, huge, tall guys and everything. The Greeks, they had one tall guy, but he was thin like this, like from anorexia. Yeah. But they won the European Cup because this guy, Nick Galli, said, well, it's not my destiny to be a basketball player, professional, because if you're 185, you're short for that. And you're too tall to be a jockey. Yeah. But he said, fuck no, this is not my destiny. I like basketball. And he was a legend. So, well, destiny is a predisposition. Is a predisposition. Is a predisposition. Like, for example, there are women like Bette Midler, you know, the singer and actress, and she's really ugly. She has no neck. She's fat. She's really ugly. Yet she plays sexy roles and she pulls it off. So I don't know. Is this a good enough answer?
When you say predisposition, you mean as in it could be, it's something that we have access to or that we could potentially fulfill? Or how do you mean it?
It means very simply, if we look at it physically, yeah, if your parents were like short and thin like this, you have a predisposition to be short and thin. Yeah.
Okay, in that
And
sense.
then you can become a jockey. But of course, you can become a diabetic and eat a lot of food and be like a balloon. Yeah. Or of course, you can start doing yoga exercise at a very early age and pull yourself and do all the stuff and be maybe not tall, but a few centimeters taller than your parents. Yeah. Maybe you can become obese and sit in an office and be bald. Or maybe you can be training at 70 years old, you can be one of those old guys full of muscle that are like winter swimmers and do all kinds of shit. So yes, you have a predisposition, and the same thing applies to mental or character things. Yeah, we have a propensity to not only imitate the characters and the mannerisms of our parents, but also have some of them genetically that are displayed as babies also. So yes, there is a predisposition, but you can have a huge talent for music and be a drunk and never do anything in music. And you may have no talent in music. Okay, let's see this. One of the most famous names in singing is Bob Dylan, which has a raspy, horrible voice, like this. It's crazy. Yet, you know, is the fuck no principle. So he sold his horrible voice, where other people would not even dare to sing, and he became one of the most well-known artists of our century.
And so would you say, yes, we have a predisposition and we can kind of choose if we want to dive deeper into that, or maybe our desires and our interests are not random, and if we do follow them, like the examples that you gave, then we get to show everyone that that's not the only, it's not only about predisposition, and it's really not random that we have those desires, and we expand everybody's perception of what is possible.
Your
So
desires,
my
your desires may be predisposed, not only genetically, but for example, there are things that some countries eat that other countries would never eat. Yeah. So like worms. Here in Peru, they eat worms. Yeah. So the people are predisposed to eat worms. And I'm not predisposed to eat worms because I've never eaten a worm. Yet I can become enthusiastic about worms that I learned them here and be a worm chef, let's call it, and be passionate about worms and food. And somebody who has been raised with worms may hate them. Like in my country, Greece, aubergine is a very big part of the cuisine. Everybody likes it. But, you know, my grandma, she forced it on me when I was a kid, and I threw it up, and since then, I cannot have aubergine. I don't like it. It doesn't mean anything. So anything you're predisposed to, you can also change. So you have choice. It's not that being
Yeah.
predisposed deprives you of choice. It doesn't deprive you of choice. It just gives you certain advantages if you choose to follow that particular path. And if you don't, maybe you can go against your proclivities. Yeah. And totally safe. You have choice. We're beings of choice. So,
Totally.
yes, there are predispositions, both genetic, cultural, upbringing, experiences, blah, 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 blah. But choice is the most determining factor that can overcome everything. There's examples of people who, for example, I had here some years ago a monster, like a guy from Finland who was humongous, like a Schwarzenegger physique, full of muscles and stuff like that. And he was a giant because Schwarzenegger is short, Stallone they're short. That guy was like towering above me like this guy. He was like a movie, this guy. Yeah. So so this guy's story was that when he was a kid, he was so puny, and so he was like thin like this, and he was like very weak and vulnerable and of bad health and stuff like that. And he was bullied around. And he was like, people were laughing at him. So he got nuts about this. He saw an American ad about how, go to Atlas gyms and, then you can become bigger than the bullies. He got inspired and he went to weight training and all of that and became this giant, this like muscular giant that was unimaginable. Even in the movies, you don't see people like that. So he had the predisposition because also his parents were like thin. They were tall because Finnish can be tall, yes. But they were like thin and like, very white and pimply. And he was like this robust, kind of super powerful, tanned guy.
Mm.
And he was like a software manager and a software engineer. So it wasn't that he had any career that had anything to do with his physique. He was the most unlikely thing. You seem to be zooming in and out for some reason. You're becoming bigger and smaller. I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't that like he was a brute or like a bully himself or macho or anything like that. He was a gentle giant that was doing like cerebral things. But he was a giant, and he had made himself into this giant.
Because in that case, I guess it served him to go against, or maybe that was one could say, I don't know, that was part of his purpose to overcome like this physique that got him bullied when he was a child. So would you say in that sense, if we were to fulfill our like fullest potential, then sometimes it's about, I don't know, following what comes naturally to us, and sometimes it's about.
You got this all wrong, Miriam.
Well,
I'm sorry, but you got this all wrong, and I'll tell you why. Because you're talking about fulfilling X, Y, Z potential. Why you give a fuck? Do you have any obligation to anybody to fulfill any kind of potential? You got a potential and choose to throw it in the toilet or not use it. It's got nothing to do with this. You see it from some kind of duty or obligation to the world to fulfill some kind of potential. But you're trying to avoid a very important issue. Yeah? All of this stuff is about choosing to be inspired. And if you're not feeling that you're fulfilling your potential, that is because you're not choosing to be inspired. I'm not talking about you specifically, but people that don't choose to be inspired, what happens to them is they get inspired temporarily, maybe, some of them never, and then they start something, and the first difficulty or two, they just give up because they're not willing to be inspired and inspire themselves and keep a flame going. Because it doesn't really matter what you do. As long as you're fulfilled, you evolve, and you feel happy, you don't need to fulfill anybody's expectations or any kind of like duty or anything like that. It's just like you being afraid to be inspired. Because being inspired is like being passionately in love with a woman, with another person. When you think of them all the time, you can't sleep, you have their face in your head, you see them in the toilet, you see them everywhere, and that's all you think about. And you get obsessed. And this kind of thing can bring disaster, of course. Like a passionate love affair, A passionate inspiration about something else can also bring disaster, because the more passionately you are inspired, the more it hurts when you fuck up, or the thing is fucked up, or it doesn't work, or it disappears, whatever you're aspiring. But that is the fun of every adventure. And either you live your life as an adventure, or you live it as safely as possible. The Swiss are very known for as safely as possible. And that is a very prudent action. But, you know, they're safe and
I
everything's
agree.
clean and everything works like a fucking Swiss clock. But the Brazilians and the Italians and the Greeks and who always get into fucking trouble, they have more fun.
Can't deny that. I think
Because they would rather live than be safe.
I love that. That is also like part of the attraction. I always feel like it's nice to have a balance. But
That is the
I
problem. That is the problem with balance. And I need to stop you here. Because in Greek, we say, it's an ancient saying, pan metron ariston. That means all moderation is best, is optimal. All moderation is optimal. All balance is optimal. And this is such a paradoxical statement, because the word all, moderation is optimal, is not moderate. Why all? All is not a moderate. All is not a balanced approach. There's no balance in all. If you said most, then it could have a balance, yeah? Or some, or the other way around. But all moderation is optimal, has no moderation in it. And therein lies the problem with balance. There are things in life where you should have balance. Actually, most things. 99% of your activities and your thoughts and everything should be as balanced as possible. But there is no balance if there is not a percentage there. If there's not the little devil that doesn't care about balance, that can overcome balance, because there's no balance in having to have balance always. That is not the balanced approach, because you also have to balance the balanced and the totally non-balanced. You have to balance the harmony and the chaos. Yeah. If balance is harmony, only balance and only harmony, that's not a balanced thing. And where's the chaos? Where's the devil? Where's the fuck up? Where's the comedy if there's no all comedy is about somebody's fuck up? All drama is about somebody's disaster. So if humanity is balanced, it's not alive. There is no theater. There is no literature. There is no strife. There is no arguments. There is nothing. There is emptiness. Yeah.
All right. I see your point, and also, but if there is balance, then it means that there's basically 50% of chaos and 50% of order. And so we do go into both, but they kind of balance each other out, because no extremes is good, is it?
Why are there no extremes good? I'd like you to answer me this question. So when Hillary went up Mount Everest with no equipment for that time, with some Sherpas, to go there in extreme cold and thin air that humans cannot survive, that was an absolute extreme, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when like Gandhi starved himself for 100 days to stop hostilities, that was an extreme. Like he went to death, and some people do die also. But there is a true story where many years ago, many decades, there were like the earthquakes in Japan. Japan has many earthquakes. And I think it was in Tokyo, and a whole kind of thing had fallen down into rubble. So the search missions were going, and they were finding people and finding corpses and finding this and finding that. And after a long time, there was they decided that now the bulldozers have to come in and just take the rubble away so they can rebuild. There is no way anybody could ever survive this. And luckily enough, they heard some sound from some ruins that they had never heard before. Once they took a lot of it out, underneath, they heard the sound. And they opened up, and they found in there a woman and a little child that were trapped under tons of rock. And they were in there like for a long time, months. I don't remember exactly. And the mother, using like a piece of glass, was feeding her child her own flesh. And she started with a leg that was trapped in a stone and was broken anyway. She fed her child. Then when that was done, she did the good leg. And then when that was done, she cut her tits off. And when that was done, she cut like as much of herself off. And then she cut her other arm on with the one arm and was feeding and having the child drink from her blood. And she smiled and she died when she saw the rescuers. So this is an extreme. But extremes are what bring poetry to our lives. Poetry is about extremes. So yes, in a balance, for the balance to be balanced, there must be extremes.
Yeah.
Extreme highs and extreme lows, of course.
I hear you. And it's a little bit off topic, but I do want to ask a question on that and regarding, if we, when in workshops we dive into those extreme cases of, to survive, what would you be willing to do?
Yeah.
In that case, basically that mother, she sacrificed herself. In
another case, you
there...
sacrifice your child. Look, if the mother could escape unscathed, or not unscathed, but escape alive, and that would mean that she had to leave the child behind or kill the child, then she should have done that. Because she can live, she can have other children, whereas otherwise they will both die, that's for sure. They cannot survive in there without food or water like forever. So let's say that the child was trapped and the child was trapped by the rocks, and she could crawl out, even knowing that they will never be able to unearth this child, then it would be like a great thing for her to do, to actually do that. And that's the instinct that we have, because every animal knows children die. Right now we have very low child mortality, but not more than a couple of 100 years ago, child mortality was like 60, 70%. So mothers would lose 60, 70% of the children, but they had no contraception, so they were making many. A dog, she has 5 puppies, 2 die. This is like every day it happens in nature. Yeah, and everything eats everything, you know. A young deer is being eaten, gone. Do you think the mother deer sits there and, you know, goes into PTSD, into therapy? No. She takes care of her other children and then goes, gets laid, and makes more. Yeah. But under the circumstances, there was no chance for her to escape. None of them could escape, and she was trapped by the rocks. There was no way. So she had nothing else to do, either surrender and die a horrible death with no inspiration, basically starve to death and being buried alive, or she could do something inspiring. And if it didn't work, at least she would die trying. So this woman was inspired for the last 40 days of her life, whatever it was, or 3 months or 2 months, I don't remember. So she was inspired constantly. I mean, she was in horrible circumstances anyway. It wasn't that she wouldn't feel pain. She had a crushed leg, you know. So she said, what the fuck, you know? This is the perfect situation for me to do something mythic, something that some fat Greek will remember 60 years after, 50 years after the fact, and, you know, say, look, Miriam, look at the story. But imagine the legacy of the child. Imagine the legacy of the child that knows this story about how his mother died. And then imagine the legacy of her child's child that hears about what the grandma did that made him exist. Otherwise, he would never exist. So she had basically nothing to lose. But
Yeah, I see that.
it does sound very extreme, yes? Like you recoil, imagine like cutting your cheek off and feeding somebody. Yeah. I mean, huh? What about extreme there?
Yeah.
But it's cool, isn't it?
It's epic. Yeah. It's so yeah. There needs to be, it's like polarities. There, for polarity to exist, like there needs to be two opposite extreme poles. I see.
Yes, but these extreme poles, you got a mistake about balance as well because you view it as something static like this that plays a little bit like this. It's not like this in nature. It's like a music, like a symphony where it starts with violins, and there they go the violins, and then the director gives to the drums, and and then in come the saxes and the trumpets, and then you know there's a quiet again, and there's a little piano playing in the background, and again, yeah. So, and the musical piece is amazing. It's in perfect balance. It shifts your emotions from sadness to anger to like any great theater, yeah, to laughter, to love, to hate.
100%. I have one question that was regarding what we kind of started with. So if when I was talking about kind of either fulfilling your potential or like optimizing, you know, like what you do. But so and I don't mean it as in you have to do something.
What a boring word potential is. What a boring word is potential. Fuck potential. You can stretch your potential. Who says that your potential is your roof or your limit? Fuck potential. You can be stretching your potential. You can be inflating your potential like a balloon all the time. Through choices, through education, through training, through passion, through doing, through risking.
100%. And but in a sense also, and I 100% agree with that. In the sense, if people are not doing this. For example, I don't know if Einstein didn't discover what he discovered. Like, would there be would it be discovered later? I feel like there's
obviously,
we only advance
obviously. And even if everything Einstein discovered took another 20, 30, 40, 100 years, 1,000 years, it doesn't matter, 10,000 years. It doesn't matter. Yeah. As we constantly evolve, everything will be discovered.
and
It's inevitable. Look, let me explain it to you, okay? Very simple. There has never been a year, ever, that nothing has been discovered scientifically. Never. Every year there's something discovered. Some years more, some years less. But in like at least 20, 30% of any possible field you can imagine, from zoology to electronics or whatever, or quantum physics, every year something significant is discovered, a new step. Yeah. This is inevitable. We never go back. Even in the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, where all knowledge was suppressed in favor of Catholic knowledge or religious kind of like doctrine, and all sciences were suppressed as work of the devil, still everything they knew before was there in history. So when this period of like evolutionary oppression, that by the way, it wasn't everywhere, it was like localized to a very big part, but still localized compared to the whole of the earth. And then when the Renaissance came, like a spring, all these suppressed years, there was a flurry of inventions that revolutionized the world. That we're still in it. Yeah. Imagine the video calls that we are on now that are so easy. I mean, I was watching as a kid Star Trek, and they had video phones, and it seemed like, yes, it's going to take until like 2233 for this to happen. Yet it happened like this. Yeah. And now we're manipulating the genome and so on and so on. So if every year there is more, even it's just a drop in the ocean, eventually all the container will be filled and all knowledge will be known because it's inevitable. If you keep going, let's say you have a big tank of 1,000,000 liters and you start with an eyedropper and throw in drops. If you keep doing this for 1,000,000,000 years, it'll fill.
Would you see it?
Yeah. Besides, it's not even like this, because with every drop, the drops become bigger because they stand on other discoveries. Yes. Solid state electronics are very good for cars because they can monitor the fuel injection, all kinds of electronic stuff. So one part helps the other. So every time you throw a drop, the next drop is bigger, and then the next drop is bigger, and the next drop is bigger, which accelerates this process. That's why we're inventing much more and learning much more now in this 20-year period than in the 20-year period 200 years ago.
100%. Would you agree with this image of, it's basically like a big kind of puzzle and we each play a part, and somehow like the more aligned you get, like the faster we evolve as a whole, as humanity.
Shall I shock you a little bit? Shall I shock you a little bit?
Please do.
You, Miriam, you have the capacity to be the whole puzzle. You can be a piece of the puzzle, you can be a lost piece of the puzzle, you can be a broken piece of the puzzle, but you can also be the whole puzzle. You can also influence the whole world. There is like many examples of this. Many examples of this because Jesus Christ changed all the whole world that was known around him. Alexander the Great changed all the world that he could walk to. Yeah. Everybody he could find, he changed. And there's like so many examples. It's not only about conquering or converting or things like that. There's many things. Gandhi changed the fate of like 1.5 billion, 1.2 billion Indians and Pakistanis and Muslims and Hindus and all these people. He changed their lives. Yeah. They were under British occupation. They were like all kinds of things. Totally transformed all this reality around him, which was like 4 times as many people as Europe.
I keep coming back still though, like to this thought that if you talk for yourself, if they hadn't done this, then they wouldn't have stretched, like their purpose. They wouldn't have realized like the most, that they ever could in their lifetime. And so,
look, I am not known by many people. Very few. Yeah. And whatever work I do is not known by many people. But if those people that know me, which may be like a couple of thousand or something, or maybe less, if they didn't exist, that would make no difference to whether I fulfill my purpose or not. Because I have created exactly the life I want. This, what you see behind you, is our dungeon in the Citadel Fury that we made, we dreamed, and we made with our own hands. The character behind me over there is my character, the Duke. We play RPG games, D&D and Pathfinder here every Saturday, the guys, and we built like a whole castle. This is a castle. It's got a big dragon, motherfucking dragon on top that breathes fucking fire.
Yes,
And here, you've been here, but this is my dream, joined in by people who like the dream and adding their dreams and making it a dream that many people are happy in. But I have created the dream life for me. I work when I want, I don't work when I don't want. I have my life exactly one time. Years ago, somebody accused me. He said, you have done everything exactly the way you like it. I said, excuse me, why not? Is that an accusation? Of course. Of course. Yeah. It just so happens that other people like it as well. But even if they didn't, what the fuck? Yeah. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm very satisfied with my life. And I feel that not only am I fulfilling more than I ever thought was my potential, but also stressing my potential. So I don't feel inferior to Gandhi because I did not influence 1.2 billion people. And if instead of maybe a couple of thousand I had influenced nobody, it still would not make such a big difference to me as far as my personal life is concerned.
I agree. I think it's not about some people are meant to, I don't know, influence, like a billion people or something. But I guess, and some
So you
people like
make me
just,
interrupt you. You make me interrupt you because like you're like paradoxing there all the time. Some people are meant to. I can't let that go. What does it
well,
mean
that,
meant to? They have to choose to. Whoever chooses to is the one that's meant to. Because otherwise you tell me who decides who is meant for what? Your mommy? Who? The Pope? The God Almighty? Who decides what you're meant for?
well, yeah, that was part of my kind of initial question. Is there, do you feel like we're co-creating, with the, I don't know how we want to call it, the universe, but
We are
like
we
some
are
creating.
co-creating the universe if we choose to, and we're actually solely creating the universe if we choose to. Because in reality, in my life, everything that influences me, I control to my liking, everything. Yeah.
Mm,
So if right now I stop enjoying this call, I'm gonna say, okay, got a bad stomach, or just I don't feel like it, or your questions are boring, and then I'm gonna go. So everything that influences my life, I control.
mm,
And that sounds kind of like bad. It's supposed to be bad, but why is it bad? That's what we're supposed to do. So anything that doesn't influence my life, Mr. Kyong Kang Ching in the province of Quenan, somewhere where I'm never gonna go and I will never meet, he can be part of the scenery. And if he dies in a train wreck, I'll hear 127 people died in a train wreck in Huachik. Why do I give a fuck? It doesn't change my life in any possible way. So, as far as I'm concerned, for my life, I'm in charge of the whole puzzle. If I don't like a piece, I take it out.
mm,
If I'm doing something I
mm,
don't like doing, then I stop it. And anything in my life that can bother me or doesn't seem very harmonious, the way I feel about it, there, I look at my puzzle and I decide. I am the game maker. I am the player and the game maker. And
mm,
so can you. But you can either be conscious and happy about it, or you can be unconscious of it and say, oh, poor me, look what's happening to me,
mm.
This person did that, or that person, oh, I'm unlucky because, I don't have humongous teeth like Dolly Parton or whatever, or I don't have hair. Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
notice that I have
it's,
hair now? Did you notice that I'm growing hair?
I have noticed. I'm like, soon you're
Lots
gonna
of
have a
hair, curls
full.
and curls. Only here it's like the desert. There's a little fluff. But the point is,
Mm,
I can be with hair. I can go after here after 10 minutes and like, boom, cut it off, and then I'm without hair. Yes. When the world feels to me like a world where I want to be more hydrodynamic and be cooler, then I don't have hair. And then when the world is different because I feel like playing with my curls, or actually I like my wife playing with my curls, then I let it grow. But that applies to everything in life, everything. Who I associate with, what I do during my day, my long-term plans, my short-term plans. I am the puzzle. And it's the whole reality. There's no other reality.
mm,
The whole of the earth is just there to be scenery for me.
mm,
In my movie, so anything that's important, I can focus on it. Anything that's not important to me, or doesn't please me at the moment, I don't have to focus to. So basically, I'm the god of my universe. I'm the god of all universes because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, why do I care about any other thing that does not enter into my consciousness and my life experience? So I'm meant to be whoever the fuck I want to be. And I'm willing to pay
Yeah.
my dues and work towards it.
And how would you go about, I have like this, as you say, you can choose to be whatever you want to be, and all of that, but sometimes there seems to be, it feels like forcing, almost. And you talk about like taking the least effort, which would in that case would be applied to,
Why?
okay,
Why is that forcing?
why I'm designed the way.
Why is that forcing? Why do you consider it forcing? I mean, it's your imagination that is forcing anything. Why? Why does it require any kind of forcing? There's zero forcing.
Well, I don't know if forcing, but like more effort than would be required. Do you remember like
There's
this
no effort.
example?
Give me an example where there's effort required.
Do you remember like this example that you give about the ballerina? If you want to be a ballerina, but I don't know, you're not
Now
basically
this is like
predisposed
too
for
long
it.
to do that. That's about a different subject. But the point is, if you want to be a doctor, it takes 9 years of studying together with a specialty. Yeah.
Mm,
If you want to be a doctor because you want to be a doctor in 9 years, then obviously you need a lot of forcing. Because you say 9 years, I will have prestige and I will have good money, and every woman wants a doctor because doctors are like a safe bet, and so on and so forth. But then I have to force myself to do all these hours of study and so on and so forth. But if I enjoy becoming a doctor, learning and practicing and doing all of this, it's not me forcing myself for the objective. It's like enjoying pushing myself because I'm stretching. It's the same way when you go to the gym. People who do bodybuilding. I did that once. When
mm,
I was young, I was lifting 150 kilos bench easy. And you just it's like a high when you stretch yourself. Whether you stretch yourself intellectually, emotionally, physically, in any possible way, perceptually, there's kind of a pleasure. It's a little bit like sex, you know. Yeah, you stress and you open up
mm.
and yeah, you lift those weights and you're in pain, but you're enjoying this pain. It's not forcing anything. You're not forcing anything. You're just living it.
I no, I 100%, I see that and I agree. What I feel like is, the situation, for example, when you if, for example, I know that I will want to create my own business at some point, but I'm not clear at the moment on, where I've explored different paths.
Because
And
you're not allowing yourself to be inspired.
mm,
Inspiration is dangerous for people because if you're inspired, then you're going to have to do it. And to do it, there's so many things you don't know about it and so many insecurities, like everybody else, if you
mm,
haven't done this thing. Like if you've done your own business, then it's very easy. You can open 10. Yes. If
yeah.
you lived a couple of times through the teething troubles and know what's necessary and so on and so forth, yeah. So, of course, you're afraid, and you're afraid of all the things that are not central to what you want, but they're necessary requirements and peripheral that you feel you don't actually like to do.
Mm,
But this is like having a lover. Every lover is a package. Yeah. If you love her smile, maybe she doesn't have the best tits. And then if you love her tits, maybe she doesn't have the
mm,
best ass. And some people are weird. I had this friend that all he cared about was the ankles. If the ankles are fat, doesn't matter if the rest is the supermodel of the. No, I cannot. So like whatever, yeah. So this is with a career as well, or with a project, or with a business. You take the package, and the package is fun. That's what's fun, is that you take a package and you just like make it happen, create it. Every the package here, we do all these sculptures that you see behind you. Look at this thing, yeah. But first you start with a metal mesh, then you just plaster cement on, first coat. You're like a plaster. It's like walls, just plaster. And then you get, when you get to do the detail, you've done so much hard work that has nothing to do with what you actually enjoy creating the final sculpture. And then you get to paint it, yeah. And that, of course, for you to enjoy painting it and seeing your creation come to life, then of course you must have done all the carrying of the sand and the cement and the metal and all this kind of stuff before. So if you don't see it as a package, it's a beautiful part of the process. It's like babies. You have babies, you're gonna clean nappies and they stink. Baby shit is like 30 times as stinky as an adult's. Yet it's there. Like I see my son now, who's taller than me, and he's 30 years old and got married and all of that. And I've cleaned his shit. He's peed in my face while I'm changing his nappy, while I'm cleaning his shit. So yeah, it's there. It's part of the whole. And if you have a lover and you love them, and then they go sick, and they're like, for a week, you have to take care of them, and they look like shit and all of that, and you can't fuck them and all of that and so on. And then you say, oh, I don't like this part of the relationship. Okay. But then maybe the other person cannot like when this happens to you, right? Yeah.
No, I, in the context of a relationship, it's true that it's very, it's easy to see how you choose a whole package.
But many people complain all the time. He doesn't wash the dishes. She doesn't do that. Blah, 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 blah. First of all, teach her or teach him. Yes. The carrot and the stick, reward and punishment. Punishment is no punishment, no violence, nothing. Yeah? When she doesn't do what you want, he doesn't do what you want, you're just nice like this. Very nice. And when he does what you want, you're like super enthusiastic and super loving and super excited. And then you teach him like a dog to do what you like. You train him and then you have him. But if you want to complain, then that's not a good training. It doesn't actually work. He may do what you like 100%. Grudgingly, but it's not going to have his heart in it. So it's the same. No, the same with the business as well.
In that context, in the business context, how would you translate it? How would you, go about? Would you just find a way to make the parts that you don't like more pleasant, or I don't know, or give them away, like delegate or
whatever? If you start a business, you gotta do everything, and then you delegate. Or even if you delegate, you gotta be on top of everything. Basically, be part of everything. You're starting your own business. The thing is, you're viewing it in the wrong way. You're viewing it in the wrong way. Like, if you're a painter and you don't like preparing the frame and the canvas and making it stretch and passing the coating and all of that, and you don't like that, and you say, how will I make this part of the creative process so that I like it? What can I do? Yeah, that's like such a stupid concept. Choose to love it. Choose to love it, of course. Love every part of your creation, the same way as you love every part of your partner. And then he has a mole that you don't like, then you turn it cute. And then you love his mole. And it's all good. You don't have to force anything. You just have to relax into it.
And if I don't know what kind of business, I would want to do, how would you go about finding that without feeling like it's
The first,
you
the first
just
thing
like
you have to do
choosing?
is you have to decide that you want to allow yourself to be inspired. Because even the best idea in the world, you will find an excuse to not do it. Unless
Mm,
you really want to be inspired, you say, like, fuck the consequences. The second thing is only think of something that you would like existed, either a product or a service or something, or a place that you would like to go. And
mm,
trust that if you're human, there will be a big part of humanity that will like something that you like that doesn't exist. And that's how you go about it. Just like, yeah.
mm. I guess you just refine it and make it more as you wish and as as it works for you. Just like,
Look,
yeah,
look,
refining.
okay. Shall I give you an example? Yeah.
Give me an example.
I will make you an idea on the spot. I'm not saying it's for you, but just an
Mm,
idea on the spot. Okay. So,
hmm
do you go to, you do go to restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get something really nice to eat, right? Yeah.
hmm
Sometimes it's something like exceptional, right? Really good.
Mm,
That's really good. That's
yeah.
really good.
Mm,
That's crap. Okay.
yeah.
So then, wouldn't you like say, fuck, I wish I knew the recipe of this. I wish I knew the recipe. So I believe many people would like that. So one could make, let's say you're a chef or something, you could make an experimental restaurant where it's all about variety. The menu changes all the time. Like every week, there's a different menu. So people can keep
Mm,
coming. Yeah. And anything you like, yes, one thing per visit per person. So if there's five of you, you can get five. You get the recipe, which is the specialty of the restaurant.
mm,
Yeah. Then if you want more, you got to go back because then it'll be a different menu. Yes.
mm,
So it serves you to go with many people because if we like many of the dishes, and there'll be many dishes, then
hmm
each one of you can get a recipe of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's something very easy to do, especially if you're changing your menu all the time. You don't care if they know the previous recipe. And there are restaurants that do that, that have like a changing menu, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. A business idea that would actually work. People would come to the restaurant because of this feature. But also, you don't even have to make a restaurant. Yeah. You can create the infrastructure for this and then go and sell it. Yeah. To restaurants that actually do many things and give them ready the software. You can put some Lithuanians to make the software and everything, how it would work, and then put an add-on to their program. And then,
Mm,
they would be doing this and this and that and that, and then they would be making statistics of the most asked recipe. So then when you went to the restaurant, you would know, oh, this dish is an evolution of that dish that was 6 months ago that had the most requests ever, for example. And you could do all kind of like marketing games like this, and you could
mm,
make money. Yes. So this is very simple. I just thought of what do I want? When I was speaking to you, what do I want that doesn't exist? And you just came to me, and I gave you like a whole idea that can be twisted and changed in many ways, in many applications.
Yeah, it makes me think about this concept of ikigai. I don't know if
Yeah,
you.
just a second. Even better because I'm being more inspired now. If I was younger, maybe I would do it. You don't need a restaurant. You don't need a specific restaurant. You need an app, like Uber. You make an app, and all the restaurants that want to participate, they send you the recipes. And then somebody requests the recipe after they've eaten, they've proved that they've eaten. Yes, by their bill, they get a number, and they put this number in their phone, and then they choose the recipe. They get the particular recipe from our side. So this can be syndicated in every country, and the restaurants that are part of this would be more popular because people who use the app would prefer to go to a restaurant where they can get the recipe rather than not. And you can sell it and be as big as Uber and make a multi-billion-dollar company. So I can go on and on. You can take this to a small level, to a big level, like from one restaurant, your restaurant doing it as specialty, to the whole world fucking doing it and wanting to get on board. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you got to get inspired and look at the mountain and say, okay, so where do I start? Where do I start? I start by finding a restaurant that likes to do variety and change their menu, make a preparation and a presentation. Yeah. Maybe take a risk and spend a couple of $1,000s of your own money to make the app, to make a simple app that will evolve, that will be doing this job. Yeah. And you can make a demo, put some recipes in and make a demo how it would work for them as a client, and then sell the idea to one restaurant. With their money, you evolve the software, then you go to others. You promise them that you're not going to put anybody in their town for 5 years because they're the first.
There's many towns. Yeah.
And then you can start and do that with like minimal capital. But it can be any idea. There's ideas in every field of life.
Yeah.
Something that you would like to exist that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'll definitely think on that. No.
You were saying something. Sorry, I interrupted you because I was inspired.
Right. Yeah, it made me. I love what you were sharing, and it made me think about this concept called ikigai, where it's 4 pillars, and one of them is what do you need, and it's exactly it can be used to create a new concept of business, and one of them is what would you need, and then there's what does the world need, and what are you good at, and then what can you get paid for. It's like,
but the most important is like to allow yourself to be inspired, to allow yourself to allow your heart rate to go up for an idea and not start mind fucking immediately about the problems or the difficulties. That's what's called inspiration. To not allow fears, insecurities, unknowns to get in the way. Just go and collect the data and find out.
Yeah, I see. Kind of remember your why. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna dive in on this. Let me check. I had a lot of. Oh, because we kind of started touching on this, moving away. How would you approach things that are or subjects that are not commonly accepted, but that that you have a different perspective and that are true, in a social settings. For example, there's a lot of times where, well, a lot of times, there are times where I'm in a conversation, could be at work, could be anywhere, and there's a debate, there's a discussion, and the arguments that are being brought forth, I don't necessarily agree, and I feel like either it would be, if I said something, if I stated my opinion, it would be taken out of context, or I would have to give a lot of context for it to be understood. And a lot of times, to me, it feels like if I don't say anything, then people will think that I just agree. And in some cases, I don't care what they, what they think. But if it's my friends, or if it's my partner, or like members of my family, then it kind of bothers me that I'm implicitly, because I'm not saying anything, it kind of shows that I'm implicitly agreeing with what they're saying. And then I feel like we're evolving on not the same level, but they don't know. I'm the only one who knows, because
I got the
you see
question
what I mean?
because if you keep going, the question is too complicated for the audience to follow. So I'm going to answer a part, and if you have another part, you can keep going afterwards.
Great.
So to start with, I only tell people when I'm asked. So I'm not going to go and tell somebody, you know what, you're wrong about this. So if I'm asked, then I will answer. The second part is that if I'm invited to be part of a conversation of others, yes, then I will participate and say my opinion. But I will not bow into other people's conversation to kind of like enter myself with my differing opinion, let's say. The third part is that the more clarity you have as a person, the more like you've evolved on your clarity, the easier it is to be able to transmit clearly. Yeah. So basically, yeah, there's no reason for you to care what other people think, and you can say your opinion, and you can say your opinion if you feel like it, not because you have some obligation. And you should never like pretend that you agree if you don't. And you can have fun with it, because it is also fun. If you believe you can see more clearly than somebody else, it is fun. Yeah. So then you just do it. And then if they don't agree with you, they will have to produce an argument. And then you can produce a counter argument. And as long as nobody gets overexcited and it's like a conversation, and if somebody gets overexcited, you can say, whoa, 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 whoa. We're having here a philosophical conversation, right? Yeah. But why are you getting excited? Because I'm proposing a different opinion. So yeah, you keep it low. No. If we're going to argue, there's no point. And then you can control the climate of the conversation. Now, if a person does not agree with this and gets angry at you because you have a different opinion, these are exactly the people I don't want in my life. I love people with a different opinion as long as we're able to discuss, because otherwise, what's the point of the interaction? So basically, even if it's your boss, yeah, if you believe in your opinion, you can justify it and say, okay, you know, let's agree to disagree as a minimum. I think you're worried too much about this kind of stuff. You're a nice girl. Nobody's going to exercise you because you have a different opinion. And even if they do, they will not be the kind of people that you want in your life, in whichever way.
Yeah.
This troubles you, huh?
Mm. It it's just maybe it's because sometimes when, as you say, if I'm not 100% clear, or sometimes I feel like I don't remember, like the
If
either
you're
like the
not,
whole
if you're not
fact
clear,
or
if you're not clear, yeah, you don't speak or you say, look, there's part of this that I'm not really sure about, but I'm not in a position like to argue the point because I'm a little confused myself. Then they know that you don't agree with the whole thing, and they know that you're on, and you don't need
mm,
to explain. If they ask you, what do you mean? Well, you say, well, I'm feeling this, and you're saying this. I feel that number A is right, and number B that you say is wrong, but I'm not sure I can answer all the arguments. Yeah.
mm,
So yes, then they can ask you, and then you can have like a nice conversation or not. The fact is, the easiest way to handle anything is with the truth and what you feel, and never hide what you feel. You talked about a partner.
mm.
If you have a partner that you can't talk to about anything, you got the wrong partner.
Oh, it's not
If anybody has a partner that they're afraid to talk or say their opinion, they are with the wrong partner, or they are they think they're with the wrong partner because they're choosing the wrong partner. Because if you're choosing to be with a man and not trust him, or to be with a woman accordingly, blah blah blah, then why are you choosing them? You should be able to trust them.
100%. It's more, sometimes I feel, like that was one scenario where sometimes I'm not 100% clear. Other times I feel like because there's a commonly accepted truth, um, if I did state my opinion that is not in line with that commonly accepted truth, then I would have to give a whole context, and in a group setting, like in a discussion, you'd never be able um, to do this.
It's
And
very,
if there's
it's very simple. Let's examine the last few years. When COVID hit, when COVID hit in 2019, 2020, beginning of 2020, it approached us, March, I was instantly of the opinion that what we need to do worldwide is hug each other. Everybody get it? In the moment, it was obvious that it hit more uh, sick and old people, which most things in nature do, and it didn't harm at all babies and children. Yeah. Then
mm,
we have to hug each other. All of us get it and get it over with, and then it's like the flu, nothing. And we locked down the whole world. The whole world persecuted people who believed like me that we're doing the wrong thing. We mandatory vaccinated people. I was pro-vaccination because my idea was unless we all agree and get it over with, they're going to keep us in this bullshit forever. No
mm,
Olympics, no theater, no Christmas, no seeing relatives, no seeing more than two people, all this kind of bullshit, not being able to travel, the destruction of all human rights, the freedom of speech. People lost their jobs because they said, this is bullshit. Even they lost their jobs because they said that COVID may have come from the Chinese lab. But now everybody's saying, oh, yes, most probably it
mm,
was from the Chinese lab. And then, it was obvious that vaccinations did not protect anybody else except you. to have milder symptoms or not catch it maybe. Mainly milder symptoms, you still caught it. But the point is that they put people in concentration camps. And it was proven. It was proven. They made us to be 2 meters apart and shit like this, to wear masks obligatory. It was proven that doesn't matter if you have many vaccines, you transmit more. You're more a danger to the others. They said, no, you're a danger to society. That's why you got to stay home and wear a mask and not be able to go to the supermarket. So then everybody believed that, yes. And I and many other people believed different. This I told to the Tiramiticans the first days, as soon as the information came out, guys, this is like, and now what is it? Who thinks about COVID? It's like the flu. Everybody gets COVID still. Everybody still gets COVID. Yeah. But it's like the flu. So I disagreed. Yeah. With the world. I disagreed with the whole world being against Putin and Russia and being pro-Ukraine and getting everybody's money and giving it to Ukraine. So we have more and more people killed and big arms industry that made a lot of money just to do that. And now they're coming out and say, you know what? You know, the Russians were justified. They're coming out one by one. And now they're admitting, yes, in 2014, not in 22 the war started. It started in 14 when they overthrew the legal government. Yeah. And they did a military coup, which the results of which everybody supported. And Zelensky is a dictator. Yeah. He's unelected. Yesterday, he put a vote on the parliament just to reinforce his position and said, you know, you want me to continue being the guy? And they said no, part of his own party. He got egg on his face. He went out and lied and said, ooh, I'm willing to resign for my country, as long as resigning means we get NATO membership, which is impossible. It's not up to him. So, and which is the reason for the war, because the war happened because NATO was encroaching towards Russia. My own father-in-law hated me for saying this shit. Now, every day in the news, the different thing comes. Yeah. So, I did not discuss the situation with my father-in-law, maybe once. And then I realized, okay, yes, he believes Putin is the devil. And, you know, I discussed with people that wanted to discuss with me. And historically, all the facts were always there. We want to talk about the trans movement. Now suddenly everybody's changing their minds. Great Britain, which was #1 for trans, they closed the Tavistock and all these associations. They're putting them in jail because, you know, it's now they decide it's criminal to trans kids and cut their thing off, give them hormones.
Yeah.
And now it's changing. And Holland, which was the first ones to allow it and promote it, now since a year they've said no, done, this is harmful. And it's changing everywhere. My opinions never changed. So should I have changed my opinions and not speak because my opinions are different than the world's? No. But I didn't go out in a forum and shout my opinion. No. Anybody who asked me, I would say my opinion. If we were in a discussion that I was invited, I would say my opinion. If people didn't like it, which they didn't, on the whole, yeah. Black Lives Matter. My own cousin blackwalled me in Facebook because I said all lives matter. Yeah. So all of this stuff. And you heard me talk about this stuff years ago when I was totally against the trend and the line. So why should I care? But I'm respectful. I'm not gonna go and like start like, hey, you know what? You're wrong about this. No. Somebody ask me, I'll answer.
guess it's it's more like I guess you remember, all the facts and all of that. And for me, I hear about something or
What
I
do you
read about
like? What
something.
do you like? Tell me something you like. I think you like interior architecture or stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a wealth of facts about that. Because it inspired you, you know shitloads about this.
Yeah.
Don't you?
I mean, not the, I wouldn't say like the commonly, I'm not particularly interested in, this particular movement or
Whatever you're interested
like,
about the particular movement that you're interested, you know shitloads.
yeah, no, I guess.
There you are. And it's not an effort. You just know because you were interested. Read magazines, read books, read things, attend shows, whatever the fuck. See
Yeah.
YouTube videos. You know shitloads of things.
Definitely. So I feel like basically because my issue was it felt like I was not authentic if I didn't say anything, and I was kind of if I as you're saying, if I'm not asked, then I won't necessarily
But if you're part of
mention
the
anything.
conversation,
But
if you're an invited part of the conversation, as you said, they will think that you agree. So you're part of the conversation. You're included.
yeah,
If you're included, you can speak your mind. And you can say, okay, maybe I don't have all the arguments to support my position, but can you tell me what's wrong with my position? So I can hear. That's fine.
but it will be all the commonly accepted, arguments that are
But you do
like
have
put out there, and
you
then
you do have counter arguments. If you feel something and you believe something, you do have counter arguments. You just don't trust yourself. You do have the counter arguments. They're there in your mind and in your heart.
right. We'll practice on this. Okay. Uh,
Have you run out?
no. So I did have a few questions on, so I'm in a new relationship, and we just celebrated 6 months. Yay, yesterday. And I was wondering if you have any advice, like for like people who, it hasn't been that long, but like we are committed and serious. Is
You
there,
live
from
together.
your
You live
experience,
together.
any common?
You live together.
Yes, basically.
What do you mean, basically?
Well, I basically am in his apartment, all the time because it's more convenient. And we're thinking now of moving in together in a new place sometime this year.
Why? Why don't you move in together immediately? Why don't you say, wait? You say that you're in a committed relationship. Are you in love?
Yeah.
You are. Is he in love?
Yeah.
You say to each other that you're in love.
Yeah, all the time.
So why would you wait a minute to move in? Then you save on your rent, and then sometime this year you go to a bigger place.
Well, at the moment, I'm not paying rent because, like the whole fallout of, well, for the audience, let's say. So I when I got out of
So
my
you're not paying
last
rent.
release.
You're not paying rent.
No,
But
I'm not paying rent.
why would you keep a different place?
I
Symbolism
don't
is
have a
symbolism is the most important thing. You say that you're in his place, which means you got a different place.
I basically only like have like my papers at like at an apartment of my parents. But
Why?
I'm
Why? If you say you're in a committed relationship, show the right symbolism. Move
well,
in,
it's going to
be a couple, decide are you going to get married, move.
yeah.
Life is a
Like
video game.
we have talked about all of this. It's something that's gonna come. It's basically for now like a
Don't talk, do. You ask for my advice, do. Just do. Just leave it right now. You don't know you're going to be alive in 6 months. Whatever it is, leave it now. How do you know you're going to be alive in 1 month? Live now the fun, the adventure. And impulsive, I mean, that's what is called to allow to be inspired. You're not allowing yourself to be inspired, Miriam. You're giving me all the Swiss things, which for sure the Swiss are very good for many, many things. But not for this. If you want to live a mythic love story, you just do it. Fully commit. No back doors. No place to go to. You give the keys to that apartment. You don't even have keys. You don't even have keys.
I'm basically never there. I'm only there because I'm filming
Yeah, now
the
you're playing
podcast tonight.
stupid. Now you're playing stupid, and you're not stupid. And if you were stupid, I wouldn't tell you that you're playing stupid because obviously you would be yourself. But since you're not stupid, you're playing stupid. Because I'm very clear. It's about the symbolism. You have a back door. If you have a fight with him, you have a place to go. Yeah. And you're not committing, making house, putting your own stuff there, moving in, putting your own touches. Yeah. Making it yours, putting your own vases, stuff, the pictures of your friends. Yeah. All your female shit in the bathroom. All of the shit. Instead of having a house where you meet, have a home together. You asked me, what's my advice? You don't like my advice. That's okay. You don't have to follow it. But this is my advice. Just go all out. Now, like today, like after this call. You know what, dude? I'm crazy about you. I want to move in. I want to be your woman. I want to have your children. So I want to move in today and give the keys to the apartment away.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But look,
what's
look,
gonna happen. I'm just not
look,
doing it now,
look,
and I understand your
look
point.
how frozen you are. Now explain to me, even in Swiss terms, I will listen and understand. What is the difference? You're with this guy 6 months. He's not a serial killer. If he was, he would have done you in already. Okay? So what is, explain to me in Swiss or normal people's terms, what the fuck is there for you to wait?
Well, it basically there's just personally like for me, because right now we are having conversations about pulling our finances
Did
and
you
all of that.
say
So
anything? Give me a list of the reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The reasons why you have to wait. Give me one. I haven't heard one reason. You just move your hands and say, basically, we've talked about this But give me the but.
Well, for now, I've just received my first income since I started this new job, and so that's basically it. It's not
What's it?
I was not in a place before to pay for rent. Right now, I had to adjust my what I was hoping for.
No rent.
So it's
No rent. Do you want me? Do you take me over? I will bring as much as I can, and we will live together. One income. We put together, and I will be offering you services in exchange of cleaning, cooking, taking care of the home and you, sucking your dick, having sex with you, being nice, and being your companion. And I bring in €1,000 plus my pussy. And you bring what? €10,000. I don't care. My pussy is worth 22. What the fuck? I mean, you say you're committed and you want to be like,
I mean,
if you are,
it's already what's happening.
if you want to be soulmates, so okay. So again, I'm waiting for reason number one. Why you see how paradoxical you are? So number one, I have a problem with this, and then this is what already is happening. So if it's already happening, why don't you officialize it? What are you afraid of? I'm still waiting for the reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4. You haven't given me any. It's your business, but give me a reason in the spirit of this conversation.
Well, I don't know, for like in the conversations that we've had, literally yesterday we thought about getting a new place because until now it's been more convenient because he just lives across his work.
It's very simple. This is how confusion ensues. I asked you for a reason. Give me a reason, then you can tell me the story of your life. Since you were born and all the conversations you had with the guy and how he is like in pussy licking. No, just give me the reasons. Don't give me like blah blah. Afterwards, I will stop. I will not interrupt you. You can give me like 7 hours of blah blah. But first, give me the reasons. Because for some reason, you don't want to give me a single reason.
Well,
Because you have none. I challenge you. You have none.
Well, as of now, they're not as valid as before.
But they don't exist. It's not that they're valid or non valid. It's that you can't tell me a single one.
Up until now, it was it was more convenient this way, basically.
Why?
Because
why was it more convenient this way?
Because I was not paying rent, and we live basically in his apartment, which is right across from his work, so very convenient for him, and he gets to save on not having a big rent, and he can eat at the school whenever he wants, which for the time being is what allows him to save some money.
What does that have to do with anything? What difference does it make? You're practically moved in. I'm asking you, why don't you make it official? And why is it more convenient to not have it official? Because effectively you are living there, as you said.
Yeah.
I'm only using your words. So what are the reasons not to make it clear and official that you are a committed couple in love and you share everything and you live together and it's your home?
Detail. So in his contract, he's not supposed to have visitors or like people living in his apartment. So that is a big thing that
is
is
bullshit. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. Yeah, you're his fiancée. Fuck the contract, and more than this, they don't need to know. You're there anyway. It's official between you and him and your friends and all your social surrounding. But you're telling me Swiss shit that doesn't mean anything.
well, he would basically be in trouble. And there's, they can see me like right now, like there's basically someone who's over, like who just started at the school, who's basically his boss, who just lives like across the hall. And so there are risks, I guess. He could, I guess.
What risks are there?
Hmm?
That his boss will tell the building that you're staying with him. He already sees you. You're just bullshitting me. You're just bullshitting me. And that is like this minute risk of like Swiss kind of like telling on each other means that, you arrange your social life. No, you're afraid to go to him and fully commit. That is the truth. His boss already sees you if you're there every day. So what is it? Are you like Romeo and Juliet hiding your love because of the Capulets that they don't like it? What the fuck is this? So I told you that what you need is to be inspired. You don't want to. You want to look at bullshit things. So yes, that's my advice. And I don't think you have any reason other than your fear. There's nothing there. What's the worst that can happen? You lose the apartment, you go to another one. Big deal.
Okay, well, worst
But
would be like for him to lose his job. But
it's never gonna happen. They're not gonna like kick him out of the apartment in one day because he got engaged and his woman is staying there. And his boss, what does his boss care? If his boss appreciates him, then he doesn't want to lose an employee by ratting him to the building, which he has nothing to do with. And even if it's his building, why would he care? He would like a happy employee, works better. So these are all imaginary things. You have no real reason. If you have, I challenge you to find it. But this is what you need to see in yourself. Because many people do the same thing as you do. But you ask my advice is to go all in, no back doors. You cannot do this. But don't give me bullshit about the building. Why you cannot do this? This is not true. Why would you care?
Well, I mean, it is what we want to do. Okay, it's like not right this
but
second.
Why not right this minute?
Because why not? I don't like.
Yeah. Okay, do what you always do. Okay, that's fine. If it's worked for you, keep doing it. But
it's not.
If you ask my advice and then you don't like it, don't do it if you don't like it. But this is my advice. I have no other advice. This is the only advice I have to offer. We can agree to disagree. I hope
so your advice is to go full in.
I hope you don't hate me like these people that you say that, are going to hate you if you say your mind.
No, I don't think so. No, but your advice, because literally my next question about that was going to be, we're talking about merging our finances, and I was wondering how you would go about that.
Merge them. There's nothing to go about.
But how would you handle, because I see that I have some resistance. It is what I want, conceptually, but I see that I have some resistance. And even, in terms of, but so what if we then want to make gifts for each other, or we want to make surprises, or, things like that, then how do you...
Merging your finances doesn't mean that each one of you doesn't have an account where they have some money and liberty to spend it without the other person knowing. It means that you merge your general accounts. You're not going to make him a 50,000 euro gift. He's not going to make you a 50,000 euro gift. Yeah. If you each have a discretionary fund of 1 or 2,000, you can do what you like with it without giving a report to anybody. And then when it's empty, you replenish it. Big deal. Come on, all of this stuff is easy. But you're not thinking like a family. You're not thinking like a unit. And this is your issue. You are afraid to go all in with this guy. I don't even know this guy. He may be a serial killer. He may be a slow-burning serial killer. But if not, he's a human being, and he wants the same as you, to fall in love and find a soulmate and be lovey-dovey and get his dick sucked. Yeah? And you want the same thing, only you want your pussy licked. So that's life. You want somebody to hold hands in the movies. You want somebody to plan vacations with. You want somebody to dream with, to share your life. And if you want that, he wants that as well. It's the same as with business. If you want something, somebody else wants it as well. Yeah. If you want to know the recipes of the nice dishes, somebody else wants as well. So apparently this guy, because in 6 months he's theoretically committed to you, I don't know the guy, wants the same thing as you. So why is there a problem in all these things?
Well, he does. We do like there's no problem. In that regard,
okay, we've exhausted this. It's super boring. We've exhausted this. You asked my advice. I gave you my advice. If you have another question, ask it. If you don't, we're going to finish. But this is boring now. We've said everything we need to say about this. You're afraid to jump over the cliff like the Avatar guy and jump on the dragon. That's not a good recipe for a good relationship.
I feel like, I want it, and it is definitely what, but I don't know why there is this part of me that is resisting in some way, because
decide what you want to choose and accept no resistance. And then you try. If it doesn't work out, you do something else. You're basically paralyzing yourself.
But it's specific to finances, I feel, because my thought, I have no doubt that he's the person.
How much money do you have that he will steal?
It's not about stealing. It's
about?
all about what if I then it's more about I feel like I'm afraid of losing that liberty, of the freedom of paying for a workshop, or just what if I want to organize a surprise, and then I love doing that kind of stuff. But so there's I don't know, some part of and I know my goal is, okay, if we are one, then we would want each other's happiness, and so he would be happy for me to go to a workshop and
discuss these things with him. And say, I want to be able also to save for things that I value. And this is what I can spare. Are you okay with this? And if what you can spare is 20% of what he can spare, that's okay. That's life. Because he also wants to do things that he doesn't need your permission for. It's so much boring bullshit. These are things that can be solved in 2 minutes in clean conversation. I want this,
we have
this.
Had that
okay, let's scratch each other's backs and we're good. Why would you disagree? You're already presupposing that you're going to disagree. You want to come to a workshop and he's going to say no. And then you say, okay, no sucky dicky for a month. Then he says, okay, yes. Then. I mean, what the fuck?
Well,
What kind of shit is that? You can withdraw your pleasure at any time you want. You can train your man to be like Pavlov's dogs. Just make him happy, and then he doesn't care about anything. Like every other man, he doesn't give a shit. Do what you like.
sure.
You give
No,
him
it's
what
crazy.
he wants, and you just give him what he wants generously, and then he's going to give you what you want. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, it is what's happening. So I'm totally mind fucking over this, because even like we had this conversation yesterday. So all good. I just wanted to address like this little resistance that I
It's
that
not
I
little.
felt that I
It's not
had. But
little. It's not little. Your resistance. Your resistance is a fortified castle. We're talking like 20 minutes about this. It's a fortified castle. It's not a little resistance. It's
well,
like
that's why I'm addressing
all
it.
guns, all guns on the battlements kind of thing.
But yeah, basically lesson of my last advanced school, and
My advice:
go for it.
trust, and don't let this bullshit affect you and jump in the high waters without a safety net and without back doors and without places to go by and apartments. If you have a fight, you gotta stay there and solve it immediately and just like make yourself a nice love story and stop this kind
100%.
of bean counting. Yeah. What if and what if and what if, what if you would say, no, this doesn't please me. You want me to be pleased or not? So don't do this that doesn't please me. Easy peasy. So thank you
All
very
right.
much for participating in our dungeon chats. I think you've run
Thank you
out,
for having me.
and it was a lovely conversation and lovely to see you and lovely to know you're in love. And I hope that you do allow yourself to be in love and to be
Oh
inspired
yeah.
by it and not be in bullshit land. Yes, like a Swiss bank. Let's make sure there's 75 signatures to everything. It's useful for some things, for banks, but not for love.
Yeah.
Thank you
I
very,
am.
very much.
I'll reassure you, I am. Like if you saw me, I've never been this way. And I just want to address the little things that could fuck it up, which is not something that I would want to happen. So
Which we
thank you for
addressed.
exactly.
Bye-bye.
So amazing. Thanks, Mikis.
Bye-bye.
Want to play RPG in our dungeon? Would you like us to make you a small, medium, or huge custom-made sculpture? Or even your own castle? Contact us at contact@fantasyscaping.com.